Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candid Meena every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. And thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do share it with your friends and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. And also, today we have Deepti back with us. Welcome, Deepti.
Thank you, Minaji. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for this wonderful platform. Actually, you're doing a great service to, let me
We
say,
are
to
all
our
together,
country.
Deepti.
Yeah,
This is not like my work or this is not your work. Everybody is adding quality to the kind of justice we are seeking from the courts.
and
So each,
also,
yes,
and also here, Minaji, me and you on the screen, but the main part the viewers can play.
yeah,
The viewers who are watching your channel, they have a major contribution to make to this movement.
yes, yes,
You are knowing the truth. Kindly make it aware to other people around
yeah,
in whatever ways you can. You don't have to start a campaign and come in the limelight, but you can just spread the word.
yeah,
I mean, it should, I mean, like word of mouth, it should spread everywhere. That is what
yeah,
I expect the viewers to do.
yeah, on their part. Yes,
Yes, on their part,
yeah.
to
So yesterday,
let this, yeah.
yeah. So yesterday, viewers, we were quite surprised by the kind of response we got to the session we had yesterday with both Rabia Khan and Deepti joining us. It was a spectacular session, mainly because of the kind of response that we got from you viewers, and this is the kind of response that we want you to share with the world. Because see, we will not take excuses from others saying that, see, mainstream media is not reaching you, so we do not know the news. No, now this is an alternative for you. This kind of news is important for you. Stop watching the channels which are feeding you all sorts of nonsense. Okay, you have now a choice. Listen to us and spread the message. You could have seen the way Rabia Khan was so depressed yesterday. Would anybody like to see a mother in this sort of state? Nobody. So it's up to us to spread the message and ensure that whatever be the conditions, she gets justice. It's very important,
Exactly.
friends. So,
Exactly. I mean, people are saying that if he doesn't get justice, he will get divine justice and everything. That's okay. That's all
yeah,
fine. But
yeah,
8 to 9 years of the struggle, the harassment, the frustration that she has gone through,
yes,
and I mean, we don't talk about the costs involved, but let me tell you here. I mean, any sort of case in India, it is costly, and such
yes,
high profile case, I mean, where the entire state machinery is out to suppress the murder as a suicide. She
yes,
is fighting. Yeah, she is fighting since 8 years. So just
yes,
imagine what sort of stress her finances must have gone through. I know this because I am into one case, so I know. I mean, if they are against, if the entire state is against you, the system is against you, in order to keep your case alive itself, it takes a lot of toll on you,
yes,
both mentally, financially, and in all which ways, Meenaji.
yeah, yeah. Also, viewers, remember, see, why is the mainstream media not showing the progress in Rabia Khan's case, in Jia Khan's case? Why is the mainstream media not showing any, sort of, whether it is negative or positive, they are not showing anything. The only bits and pieces of news we are getting from online media. So, which means that they are trying to suppress the truth. And even whatever is written in the mainstream media online, they are carefully wording it in such a way to show they are for the culprit on that side. So
Exactly.
this is
I mean, they
not good
are
for us.
the kind of narrative with which they are reporting. It will show
Yes,
as if the CBI and the culprits are in a hurry to close the case,
close the case.
but Rabia ji, the complainant, is dragging it. That is the
Yes,
impression they are trying to create. Like they
yes,
tried this with Sushant's case as well, saying this Falana person arrested in Sushant's drug case. That person it is not Sushant's drug case.
yeah,
That is one angle which came out later. Some people were involved. Sushant was never into
yes.
drugs.
In fact, the first comment that I got from someone was that, see, experts are saying that the diary is not true and that Sushant was a drug addict. So she believes the latter, but she doesn't believe the former. So I have told her very clearly and blocked her as well I said that this is not a place for people who do not believe in the diary. If they don't believe it, let them leave. Okay, because this
I'll
in this platform
I'll
we
just say
believe
one
in it.
thing, Minaji. Yeah,
Yeah,
we put it clearly. We have
yeah,
put everything out in the open. The
yeah.
so-called experts who are calling these diaries fake, I even invited them to come with me to the CBI office. I
Yes,
invited them to arrange it. I mean, they are the experts who have been helping the agencies crack so many cases, right? So, and they are posing as Sushant's warrior. They are
yes,
posing as someone who is interested for justice for Sushant, right?
yeah,
So, what is stopping you from getting a fake person caught? Why?
yes,
Because the only authority who can validate the authenticity of these drives is CBI.
yeah,
These so-called experts coming and telling and declaring them fake without even verifying the credentials,
yes,
what are they trying to, how are they helping the Sushant's movement? If you think that I
yes,
am fake, if you really believe that I am fake, then you should actually report me to the
yes,
authorities. When an investigation is on hand,
yeah,
this lady is coming and spreading fake news and misleading people,
yes,
right? That should ideally be done, but no, they won't do that. They won't
yes,
even help me in meeting the CBI or someone. But
yes.
they have all the time in the world to make videos and spread narratives. I mean, dissecting each and every comma, syllable, and everything. So it's
Can you
okay. I
imagine?
leave it.
Even before I come, my time is 8 o'clock. Even before I come, these people have landed on my platform and started saying these things, which means that they are more keen to see the presentation than we are. So it's a crazy world,
Exactly.
Deepti. Yeah. So today, friends, Deepti is going to read another section of it, and she has some important information to give you. And so I leave it to her. She will tell you, and please try to spread the news as much as possible, because before this all this gets blocked, very important. Before all this gets blocked, spread it as far as possible. Yes. Yes, Deepti.
Exactly. Yes, I just wanted to tell you yesterday or I think the last session, I told that some of Sushant's team members who are alive, they are creating problems when I'm trying to decode the drives, okay, by in the way of cyber attacks and virtual attacks, okay. So let me first give a brief explanation about how Sushant has designed this interface. All the 7 to 8 copies of the drives are interconnected, okay.
Yes.
So the people who have those 7 or I think 6 or 5 copies, they have the parent link.
Yes.
Okay. So the main link is only with the core team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's the core team which has been creating problems for me and my team while we are
Okay.
trying to decode it. Okay. Though
Okay.
we have saved their names till now,
Yeah.
but today or yesterday night, I think they did something which, and I have come to know about something which I think there is no point in keeping their names hidden,
Yes.
uh, because what they have already, from whatever information I have read, they are helping the people who have their role, who have involvement in Sushant's murder, to
Yes.
get access to the drives.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Sharman
Okay.
Joshi,
Yeah.
and Tiger Shroff.
Okay.
Um, what they tried to do yesterday was, the interface on which we are working, the platform on which we are working. They approached that company, which I mean of the
Okay.
software. Okay, I mean not they exactly, not these three, but now that they are helping the culprits get access to the contents of the drive and alter it,
Yes.
what they did, so the culprits actually, so when they gave this information, then only these people could go ahead and do that, right?
Yes. Yes.
uh, and they attached another thing through a strike through software or something. They tried to add some drives with the
Yes.
same numbers to confuse.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
let me tell you here, they also know that Sushant has designed all this in such a way that no one can add or
Yeah.
delete or
Yeah.
destroy these drives. If
Yes.
anyone tries to make any change, even if they want to add a small comma or something, all the drives that are connected, all the systems that are connected to the drives, they will go into standby mode.
Yes.
That is what happened that day, Minaji. I couldn't come on because my system,
Yes.
it went on, it hung.
Stand.
I mean, it went on standby mode because I have my protections in place to
Yeah.
counter those attacks.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
so it is
So
very
many people are
unfortunate.
saying. So many people are saying Tiger Shroff unbelievable. That's what we
I
also
mean, at
thought.
least, yeah, because I was saving their name. I will
Yeah.
share the drive tomorrow or day after with the.
Yes.
There are others also. There are others
Yes.
also who are helping because, but I haven't faced any problem from their side.
Yes.
I have only let out the names of these three because they have been siding with the culprits who are involved in Sushant's murder,
Yeah.
and they have been doing these things.
Yes.
So I am forced to tell the name.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So shall I start
Yeah.
reading
Please start.
again?
Please
Yeah.
start.
Okay. So let's now rewind the dates and get back to the dates in history and speak about this case, which in itself is a huge chapter altogether. Because this was one of its kind, wherein someone could exploit everyone, the banks, the stock market, the system, everything, and everyone. All started when Sucheta Dalal exposed illegal methods of transactions in a column in the Times of India newspaper. The journalist did a fantastic job, not only to bring the scam out, but also ensure that there was continuous reporting on this. And also, every aspect of it was neatly explained without any extras added to it. The entire incident was very beautifully explained in the book as well, too. So I feel I don't need to put a lot of effort into explaining what conspired. You will get all the information from the book. But let me put light on some important points which surrounds the whole issue. And also now that we have taken this up too, we will do our own research on it too. The key factors in this scam were: 1. The way Harshad Mehta manipulated the banks. 2. The involvement Harshad Mehta had with Citibank and how Citibank helped Harshad Mehta. 3. The connections with Aditya Birla. 4. The association with Pallav Sheth Ajay Kalyan. 5. Alleged connections with Hemendra Kothari. 6. Connections with the RBI Governor S. Venkataramanan. There were a lot of other connections which were established, and it was believed that big names like the RBI governor himself played a major role in helping Harshad Mehta achieve this. And this was well documented. This chapter goes down in the books of history as one of the dirtiest chapter. The way the banks were manipulated and the way the bank receipts were misused and the way one person could skyrocket the shares of one commodity and reap huge benefits. Everything happened during this. And yet there was no one who could see through. Even to date, a lot of trails on Harshad Mehta are on. A lot of trials on Harshad Mehta are on. And there is one belief here that Raju of Satyam too was well connected to Mehta. And Ketan, when he played around with his company shares. Look and understand what exactly is happening in our society. Have a look on how everywhere these people are there, so deeply rooted. If our society has to have a proper stand, then then this nexus between the businessmen, politicians, and the underworld has to be the talk of the town. And this is only possible when the public shall be up for the task. And how to get the public up for the task? It's very simple. Make them aware of what is happening and hope for the best. Ketan Parekh stock market scam. Ketan Parekh was a trainee under Harshad Mehta and was probably that one name missing from the 1992 scam that saw the downfall of Harshad Mehta. A qualified chartered accountant, Ketan Parekh is the mastermind behind the 2001 stock market crash. And yet again, this incident too showed how the companies themselves fund these brokers and make them big. This scam, and this was one instance where a person who I considered as a hero once turned villain. I am making a reference here to Subhash Chandra of the SL Group. Let me explain how all this is connected. And then there is another angle, a shocker to everyone. I too felt shocked when I heard it. But what's a fact is a fact. No one can deny it. Anyways, let me go step by step and then explain the entire picture how it happened. According to the reports that I have had, the first thing that Ketan Parekh did when his strategy started to click was to join as a director of Madhavpura Mercantile Cooperative Bank. Now, this is an interesting chapter and has its own springs and a huge story to unfold in itself. But I will get back to this a little later, once I am done with the synopsis of Ketan Parekh's role, borrowing money from various banks and a major chunk of it from MMCB. Ketan started his process, which turned out to be one of the biggest blunders in the history of stock markets, which remains till date, as case files in various courts of the country. Ketan started artificially rigging stocks of select securities, often referred to as K10, using the large sums of money he had borrowed from banks. He purchased large stakes in less known small market capitalization companies and jacked up their prices through circular trading and created an atmosphere to make other investors invest too, which made the shares of these companies skyrocket. During this time, the shares of Z Telefilms had a huge leap, where the share which was floating around rupees 120 to 130 suddenly saw a leap to rupees 10,000, and the small brokers and investors were quoted saying that the promoters and industrialists paid funds to Ketan in getting this done. List of securities and the price jump under Ketan Parekh. The list of the companies that are mentioned here were never heard of or were not that famous for it to see such a huge leap. And it had links to the insider trading exchanges as well. And as I said earlier, promoters were working hand in glove with Ketan to make it all happen. Visual Soft 600 to 625, jumped to 8,400 to 8,500. Sonata Software, 75 to 90, jumped to 2,800 to 2,900. Amitabh Bachchan Corporation, 25% leap. Himachal Futuristic Communications, 18% leap. TIPS, 32% leap. Pritish Nandi Communications, 26% leap. GTL, 20% leap. Penta Media Graphics, 33% leap. Crest Communications, 32% leap. Aftech Infosys Limited, 36% leap. If you go back and check these companies in the stock exchange market today, you will know for yourself how big a hit these have taken in today's times. Amitabh Bachchan Corporation, a company which came under huge losses, and Amitabh potentially went bankrupt. The key lies in this too. In order to ensure that the name does not come out in this manner, other wings were added to it, and an entire different picture was projected. Here, the connection being that of Amar Singh, and yet another name that comes as common bridge for how Amar Singh could be able to get this done is Pasi and Rakesh. Though the news was out in 2001, by the time things started to take shape, it was 2008 to 2009, and by the time it reached the court and this matter was reached conviction, it was 2014. These connections are spoken even to date, but there are no ears to listen to them. The only thing that hurts me here is that all has already gone under the grind of law, and still there is no action taken, or there are no steps taken to ensure that these people are taken to task. What is wrong with the system? Just for one moment, imagine a common man would be the subject here. Then imagine what would be the case scenario. It would be a totally different story, right? There are connections here being made to National Herald and some other dirty chapters of the Indian history. And I will come to it in detail as and how I proceed to document my work. And there is another solid connection here to this case, which will stress on the actions of Dr. Swami and some well recognized people in the society. Ketan Parekh was close to a lot of people, and the games that he had played were to that extent that he was a skillful taskmaster, is what people call him. He had that talent in him where he convinced banks to give him loans more than the prescribed loan limit that was advisable for banks, which they could lend to stockbrokers. And MMCP faced a lot of heat, and then potentially its doom. Ketan Parekh is the reason behind it. And Ketan Parekh also had strong links with the underworld and the drug lords too, with whom he used to have interest-based money transfer business, non-registered money lenders. Wake up, India, please wake up. The time has come now to stop blindly following people. If we continue what we are doing, then we will have nowhere to hide our faces, and also we will be trapped just because we were too complacent in our approach. The Ketan Parekh scam has a very important chapter, which for me, I find it hard to believe and pray with both my hands folded that at least for this once, prove me wrong. But when I have gotten the connections and I have known this is the story, it becomes my duty by default to make notes of it and let people know this is what it is and this is where things stand. I just cannot explain what is the feeling that is going on inside me when I am writing this. But the one connection that forces me to digest this is the MMCB angle. I'm not sure of the time frames, but when the MMCB fraud of rupees 1,600 crore came to light, most of which was used by Ketan in his stock ventures, and it came to light because Ketan did not have the back support the Ambanis had when they were to face a similar situation. And how Dhirubhai came out of that situation, there is another report that Anand Jain, after milking Parekh to the maximum, he could actually script the Ketan Parekh downfall, again taking the pointers back to the Ambanis. The point I am trying to make here is that the beer cartel stuck its axe and Ketan couldn't take it. Getting back to chapter, when this bank fraud came out, Ketan was the main accused, and it's believed that Ketan Parekh paid rupees 2.5 crore to help him get out of this matter. There is a clear mention made to this by the then additional DG Kuldeep Sharma, CID crime, in a letter written to the then Chief Secretary of Gujarat, Sudhir Mankad, in August 2005. The contents of the letter spoke of an application given to him by one Hasmukh Shah, who had mentioned it to him with details as to how Girish was believed to have said that he had found out that the first meeting happened in October 2004. To organize the proof to this is that the SLP was indeed withdrawn prematurely. Minaji, I left something here. Can I read it again?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Hasmukh Shah was believed to have said that he had found out that the first meeting happened in October 2004 to organize the withdrawal of the SLP, special leave petition, filed in the Supreme Court. The proof to this is that the SLP was indeed withdrawn prematurely. I will not take this matter so seriously until I lay my hands on the letter written, and will try my best to establish contact with this Hasmukh Shah too, if I can, to try and learn what was the exact thing that happened according to him and what is the real story. See, whatever be the scenario, the truth has to come out in the open, and the complete truth should not just and the complete truth should, not just a part of it. It is my duty to present facts as and how they are, and then leave the rest to people to think and analyze for themselves what they want to derive for themselves out of it. You are the boss of your own thoughts and judgments, so I leave it up to you what you want to do around this. The only thing that keeps me confused in this episode, if not what is crystal clear to be involvement, is the people who brought this news out are congressmen. Still, keeping everything aside for a minute, if we take this in consideration that there was a letter written, the man who brought it out in 2014 was the one who is causing alarms raised in my mind, Digvijay Singh. I'm just not able to make terms with myself on this. But then there are other interesting things to add up to this. The DG Kuldeep Sharma, the DG Kuldeep Sharma was immediately moved unexplainedly out of the CID. The reason why I am saying as that he was moved out without any explanation is because there is another dirty incident here with this, and another vicious turn in this entire chronology. I will come to it in a while. The entire episode has confusion written all over it, so it is a little hard to digest and understand what exactly is the case here. because of two things that form the subject matter here. The first thing that comes into the contention here is that the Congress leaders, like Digvijay Singh, brought this issue out, which gives this entire episode a different shape and makes one believe that this could be a cooked up story. And I strongly believe this is a possibility here. The second thing that raises a lot of alarms and actually might be the strongest point here in this case, but again, here, this will spoil a lot of heads. Let me let me make one more point super clear here, that I am someone who is on a mission. My mission is to make the society and the people in the society realize what their power is and how strong impacts happen if they stay united. This name can actually send shock waves across the country, because the name that is coming in the contention here is the person who has put on our country on the face of this globe. The man whose name I am going to take here, despite not wanting to take, is Narendra Modi ji. Not an allegation or an allegation, I'm not sure at all here, because I know I might be doing big injustice to everyone taking such a respectable name. But the events that are connected here give strong connections to this fact. And when it's out like this, I need to make notes of it, because what is there in store tomorrow, I have no idea about it. And in this fight, I want to make sure that I do my best to ensure that I have every information penned down, so that I don't follow the line and end up doing the same mistakes what people before me did. I have one small request to make here. If I am not able to continue post this, please, before getting this matter out, please ensure that you have all the angles covered and then discuss the matter out well, and only then bring it out. But yes, the one thing that I would like to chip in here at this juncture is that if there is one man who by far is clean when compared to others, it's our honorable PM Narendra Modi ji. So if I have to do this, I would first approach Modi ji, ask him some questions around this, and depending on what answers I get, I would decide what I would do about this. The situation our country is in today, there are no clean people left who can show the direction to people. The biggest plus that instantly connects me to Modi ji is his time in the Himalayas, where he is believed to have spent a lot of time and with powerful gurus and done a lot of meditation. This is where I kind of so connect to this man, because the positive atmosphere of the Himalaya and the gurus out there, they can make a lot of difference to your thought process. So, considering this, though this cannot be any excuse if a person is proved to be wrong, which happens in very rare scenarios, then I do not or can write in words what the conclusion would be. I very rarely get confused, but the fact is that when things come out in this way, when you often get to learn that the person who you look up to might have flaws here, I remind myself how powerful are the words of the great saints of India. Because one saint once said, do not have any role model in your life, because your role model too will have flaws. I do not recollect now who said this, but I have heard it a lot from Baba's mouth. And the one thing I would quote for people here is a quote from Mark Cuban. Doesn't matter if the glass is half empty or half full. All that matters is you are the one pouring the water. I use it in this context here because it is up to us how we conclude on anything that comes to us. A thought that comes to us in the water and the half empty or half full glass, whatever you want to take it as, is your mind that is waiting for the input from you to analyze around it. So when you get informations, it is very important that you have a detached mind and then do anything around the information. And remember this quote. Before I go ahead and finally speak about this angle that we are discussing, wherein the officer was suddenly removed from his position, and how he faced a real tough time. Let me make one point clear here, that I am taking this piece of information with a pinch of salt, and I will not react unless and until I get to hear this out from the man himself. For me, if someone can improve the condition that our country is in, then it's none other than the man who is at the helm of things now. That does not mean I am a blind follower or a bhakt, as per how the media calls it. It's just that I have hopes, and again, if I found out foul play, then I will not think a second before I break all the attachments I have and strike hard. Because for me, everything else can be excused, is when someone plays with the innocent minds of people. One last time before I start digging, I request and also would want to alert and make people aware that this piece of information, whatever I am writing here, is the current set of the information I have received. I will work around this for sure, but I have to make notes of it, as and how they come to me. But here in this case, I would want to wait and get to the bottom of it before I conclude this chapter. But what cannot be negated is the risk and the uncertainty of what future has in store for me. So I am making notes of it so that the information I have collected is up to date. If I am not able to take this issue to conclusion, I would only request people to first do thorough study around these facts and only then take a decision, because the man here whose name is out is known to have a great vision for the country in the days to come and is leading from the front. It concludes that in order to reach on the top, to clear this mess out, these actions become the need of the hour. I would still understand. And let's go off this topic altogether. Because if there is a vision that follows a wrong action, which actually can do a lot of good to a whole lot of people and can be a boon to humanity, then small mistakes like this can be excused and should be excused. Getting back to the chapter on hand, now verified reports with the actions that followed showed that as soon as the letter written by DG Kuldeep Sharma reached the Chief Secretary Sudhir Mankad and the marked copies that were sent to Home Secretary and the Director General of Police, Kuldeep Sharma, was transferred almost instantly. He was removed from his post and was sent as additional DG training for 3 years. Then a short stint at the United Nations, followed by months of suspension. No proper posting. Finally, landing him as the managing director of Gujarat Sheep and Wool Development Corporation. A lot of political pundits feel this was a move made by Modi ji because it was reported that Modi ji had chaired a meeting where this decision was taken. And there is yet another interesting angle here. If the track record of Sharma is taken, he is found to be a very deserving, talented, and brave officer, and moreover, a clean officer who had all his track records straight. And this is the same officer who brought the matter of Sohrabuddin encounter, and it was during this time it was strongly believed that Narendra Modi ji buried the report submitted by the CID, whom Sharma was heading. I got to tell it out right here that when I was discussing this matter with my team and they started to keep watch on the trail, we found out pointers where this could be connected. Because once this came to light and once this officer took his stand and came out with it, old cases attached on him real quickly out of nowhere. And it was a very tough ride for him, landing him in jail too, though some of them have been written off now. When I get to hear this, I do not know what conclusion do I take this chapter to, because from one angle, when I see it, this looks true. But from the other angle, when I see it, there is another fact involved that no one knows. What is the real story behind all those cases that were put on Sharma? But the one thing here which strikes out and speaks loud is that these cases were never in the contention until this matter came out. And once this matter was out, and once the letter of Sharma reached where it should, and him being thrown out, and then landing into a position where he literally is powerless, and then these cases all of a sudden on him, does say that this could be an attempt to silence the voice of truth. I just cannot believe that my fingers are typing all this. But then, what do we do? When you are on the path of truth, you often are left out alone. And in the words of the great Swami Vivekananda, truth can be stated in 1,000 different ways, yet each one can be true. I feel for now has to be the answer to these questions till I get deeper into it and then try and speak to the man himself. I just don't understand how to conclude the chapter because if I go back and think in a detached manner, on one hand, there are statistics and data that tell one side of the story, which so looks to be true. And on the other hand, there are those eyes which are so true that one cannot conclude he can do these sort of compromises. However, the one angle here that ought to be considered is the angle I started this slide with. If when I get to connect to the man, I get to hear this with a proper explanation to what happened, I will make that extra effort to convince people and help them see through things. Because yet again, another quote of Swami Vivekananda comes to my mind now. Truth doesn't pay homage to any society, ancient or modern. Society has to pay homage to truth or die. Societies should be molded upon truth, and truth has not to adjust itself to the society. This quote has such deep meaning, which actually sums up what I want to see our society implement and practice. I will put all efforts to ensure that this happens at any cost, come what may. This Ketan Parekh chapter yet again sings the same tune and the conclusion stays the same. No deserving closure, and honest people yet again got harassed here. I am shocked to see this modus that has been happening since ages now. When someone honestly wants to do something, the people who do not want this to happen, I do not understand from where do they find these kind of, I don't get the right word here, negligible cases. And then they add fuel to it, give it different colors, and then use these cases to silence the man. Because one reaction to these actions, which everyone knows, is revolution. And if revolution fails, what follows is rebellion. So these issues are put to rest and the modus remains the same. I appeal to all such people who have been suppressed over a period of time. When I come out with my work, come, join hands with me. Let's all work together for a better future. You will not only get name and fame when you do these kinds of work, but you will get that satisfaction from inside, which Swami Vivekananda has beautifully explained in this quote of his. It is a privilege to serve mankind, for this is the worship of God. God is here in all these human souls. One small correction I would want to make here is that God is here in these innocent human souls. Because when I have to go for it, my war will be against some corrupt humans. And as Krishna has told in the Gita, when you are on the path of dharma, you should only follow your dharma and turn blind to whom you see in the opposite camp. I am not feeding my thought process onto you, but all I am trying to do is to set my parameters straight and make sure that I do not get carried away. The conclusion to this chapter for now would be that once retired, he joined the Congress party, and the statement that he gave when he was that particular dais where he said, I decided to join the Congress party because there is a lot of resilience, strength, and quality in the Congress to serve the nation and the people. The party has not gone away from its basic objectives of working for the well being and advancement of the people of the country and the principles of secularism as laid down in the Constitution of India. I seriously fail to understand or make any connection to this statement. Was this not the same party where a genius visionary, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was used as a puppet? Is it not the same party who is the working model of family politics? Is it not the same party who denied a state funeral to P.V. Narasimha Rao? Whatever anyone wants to say or correct me over here, the one fact I know for sure is that the man who got India out from a potential financial breakdown back then, of course, Dr. Manmohan Singh stood with him like backbone, did not get the due credit he deserved. So I am not able to make sense with these statements of Sharma. Before scam. This in itself is a chapter and does not need any explanation. But the need to get this chapter out is because this scam is one of the main reasons three other history changing incidents took shape in our country. Let me start this with a very interesting connection. It's not unknown to people that Rajiv Gandhi family was very close to the Ambanis. And when the Bofors thing was happening, the things were all going smooth. Ambani's on one side, I explained about the 1982 stock market crash, where Dhirubhai became the uncrowned king of the Bombay Stock Exchange, and how the things went from there. The two noted people who were the backbones in this, who played the front up as investors, were the brokers of Dhirubhai Ambani's brokers, Pankaj Kapadia and Hari Kishan Das Lakshmi Das. Some call it Har Kisan Das Lakshmi Das, were buying as many shares as they could, and then we all know what 1982 stock market crash had done to the stock market. The Bofors money was also used here. And then came Harshad Mehta 1992. Now, what happened in this gap is what is my area of concern. And also, the biggest connection, maybe, where people will know how exactly we were being exploited for so many years after all intense research I present before you today, this side of the chapter, which will make people connect to a lot of events that have been recorded in the pages of history. The Reliance was gearing up for something similar to be done around 1992 to 1993, which Rajiv Gandhi was in favor of. But Mehta had that one weapon in his arsenal, which he used to foil this, because Mehta was also in the quest to make his big. And that name is Nemi Chand Jain, alias Chandraswamy, who once was believed to be very close to Dhirubhai and was cheated heavily by Dhirubhai. There is recorded instance to prove this, and also stress on the fact I will get back to it in the order which the events actually happened. Here, before I continue, I need to add this in between so that our thought process comes on the same page, because there are a lot of smaller chapters involved here which hold equal importance in understanding how exactly everything happened. Minaji, I need a minute of break here.
Yes.
May I
Yes.
please?
Yes. I'll just take some comments. KB says, highest regard for all the hard work of SSR. Imagine the massive storm, tsunami, if he had done that press conference and told the entire world himself. SSR should never have confided in Chugalchor Pitani. Yes. Sure, I think Deepti ji, we can discuss for a while on chat. Yes. We wouldn't even exist. All our neighbors would have attacked us and killed us. All of us and the Pawar and his cronies would have been holidaying on a cruise. This is if he had become the prime minister. Yes. SSR would have probably discussed these with his brother-in-law, who is in the police. Says just now. If you go back to SSR time of death, similar issues were very active then as well. And now slowly culprits are stepping on their own shoes and tripping badly. Rini. Sorry to go off topic, but I was thinking of Delhi restaurants and their dress codes. A burqa is smart casual? You should be asking Akila, yes. I wonder if he has done such a deep research on malign people. He was much incensed to have realized that he's being drugged. Be yourself. Yes. I think towards the later part of his, towards his death, that was when he was drugged the most by these people. Please raise your voice for Sid Shukla. After SSR, his death now does not let me sleep. Yes, really, this is something very true. Yeah, just add Deepti. 1 second. Yes, Deepti.
Yes, Minaji.
Yeah, yeah.
Was I not clear in the previous slide about Sharma and
Yes, very clear.
very clear? Is there any confusion in the audience mind?
No, I don't think.
That statement, actually, that statement about I decided to join the Congress party is of Sharma's.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Very clear. Hmm.
very clear, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
very clear.
all right. So if there is any confusion regarding this, because I have received feedback that the name Sharma was not audible. I didn't mention the name Sharma. I think I
No,
did.
no, it's very clear. All of them are saying it's very clear.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, all right. So, okay.
yes, yeah.
The chapters that need to be included here are how media was used, the connections of some top names of Bollywood with politicians, the family disputes, the other scandals that were weaved around this, the real reason behind the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. There was heavy confusion in my mind when I started to work on this angle. But then, slowly, as time passed and we began to see through things, a lot more things connected and started to make sense. So, I will make sure to go in accordance to what we laid our hands on so that I am able to put it out in the right way and not confuse anyone. My God, this is so huge that this alone can almost expose a whole lot of jackals in the society. So, Chandraswamy, who was once close to Ambani, was believed to have fallen out. And then it's Chandraswamy, who had huge influence in the 1992 scam. Now, the most interesting angle and connection to this chapter is two people Ambanis were close to. Rajiv Gandhi and Chandraswamy were very close to Digvijay Singh. Through Digvijay Singh, this Chandraswamy got connected to Sonia Gandhi. Then ran the war one side, the husband supporting Ambani's, and on the other side, Sonia siding with Harshad Mehta. This went on for some time, and then the heat of the moment came when Rajiv Gandhi wanted to strike. This triggered shockwaves, if some reports are to be believed around this time. Then, if Rajiv Gandhi would have gotten back from Chennai, the 1992 scam, which started making its way out in the news in 1992, would have happened at least a good 8 to 10 months prior. Some say the Rajiv Gandhi trip to Andhra and Tamil Nadu was planned by Sonia itself. And Sonia Gandhi knew this all along. If you do not want to believe me, let me give you some points here, which can actually put some light on some dirty chapters that got lost in the books of history. But before I get there, let me just quickly finish this small angle so that when I get to the actual connections, this remains fresh in your mind. Harshad Mehta did not want to join hands with the Ambanis. And that led to Anand Jain script the downfall of Mehta along with Dhirubhai Ambani as the backbone. The Bofors scam was closing in large, and there was no chance that the Congress could continue if they did not gain sympathy. And on the other hand, Rajiv Gandhi was very keen to hit the axe of Mehta's head, which meant that there would not be anyone who could potentially stand up ever again and look into the eye of the Ambanis, or some other names like Kumaramangalan Birla, Rahul Bajaj, amongst others. Keeping the names out before getting to the roots of the issue can actually spoil my entire work. But yes, now that we have reached this deep, these names are necessary. So, in order to ensure that Harshad Mehta gets an extended run, Congress gains sympathy and the connections that the top businessmen then had with the Bofors scam, and also the involvement of Sonia Gandhi, who is believed to have received huge sums of money and also have been the person who was the bridge for both the parties. And to add on to this, it was on Sonia Gandhi's shoulders the parties involved in the Bofors had direct access to the PM's official residence. Some believe Rajiv Gandhi was just the chair, while everything related to Bofors was Sonia Gandhi's plan. And the top opposition parties in the country who had some hold on the market got their shares too. There is no much info on this for now, but I will add on it as and when I lay my hands on the informations. Another funny and controversial connection that needs to be understood here, which can be considered another reason to the entire collapse of Mehta, is that Rajiv Bajaj was very close to Anand Jain and Mukesh Ambani. This gives me a shock down my spine that there are some people in this society who can go to any extent to become rich and earn money. However, this angle is another huge confusion in my mind. That are the Bajaj playing it safe or were they playing it safe initially? Nothing can be said here because the skins these people have on their body is so thick that even if an atom explodes right next to them, they would be left unscratched. I just don't understand that how were we blind for so many years? From another side, the money from Bofors was also pumped into Associated Journals Limited, which was having its own dream run. Rajiv Gandhi was associated, and today I shall show it to the world without the need to have any evidence to it, just with media reports on how we can prove that Sonia Gandhi had a huge hand in this. And how could I derive to this conclusion? The connections are as follows. Before I continue, let me make one request here. If possible, read the book Conspiracy to Kill Rajiv Gandhi, CBI Files. I will tell you why reading this book is necessary. The book will tell you that during the preliminary stages of investigation, M.K. Narayanan had hidden some prime evidences which could have given a lot more deeper angles to the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. We all know how close M.K. Narayanan is to Sonia Gandhi, as he served as a national security advisor too, and the difference of opinion he had with Dr. Manmohan Singh ji for not respecting the High Command's decisions, and Dr. Manmohan Singh ji threatening to resign on more than one occasion, citing interference from M.K. Narayanan as the reason. If this is not enough, then go back and have a look at the interview with which Justice K.T. Thomas had given in 2017, wherein he had strongly raised points on how there were a lot of flaws in the CBI investigations. Rupees 40 lakhs were seized in cash from the convicts. This points out to an unpardonable flaw in the Indian criminal justice system. Now, the Chandraswamy angle. Ranganath, one of the prime accused in the assassination, confessed that Chandraswamy was the godfather who financed the killing, recorded in the Jain Commission reports. When Congress came under Sonia Gandhi, Vaiko, Vaipuri Gopal Swami, founder of Marumalarichi Dravid Munetra Kajagam, MDMK, and Thol Tirumavalam, chairman, Vidutalai Chirutai Gal Kachi, VCK. Both were closely connected to the LTTE and have strongly voiced their support to LTTE, have supported the Congress and still continue to do so. Nalini, who initially was awarded death sentence which was altered to life imprisonment when she gave birth to her daughter in the prison, Harita Murugan. This happened because the widow of Rajiv Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, who intervened and petitioned for clemency for the sake of Nalini's daughter, and it was honored in 2000. Nalini, who was given Class A convict treatment from her arrest till May 2010, when a mobile phone was seized from her cell. Nalini had a surprise visitor to her cell on 14th of April 2008. It was none other than Priyanka Gandhi. And then she came out with a public statement saying she forgave her father's assassins. Moreover, Nalini did file for mercy after completing 20 years in prison on the grounds that the actual criminals are still at large. Now tell me what is you can conclude here. I started the Before scam and did not mention a word about it. The reason I did not mention a word about the Before scam here is because what happened in Before is known to all. But this story that is connected to this is the one that has to be told now. And also, I would like to say that this is not the end of this chapter. I have to do some talking to some people about this, and once that is done, I will touch up on this chapter and finish it totally. But here, the one thing again that stands out is the connections. Look at it, how deep it is, out of the many reasons and theories for Rajiv Gandhi's death, the IPKF just became the face of it. But the actual reason he was eliminated revolves around this. And I am sorry to say this, during the next general elections, there is every possibility that something similar might be done to Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi, and the survivor would emerge victorious. The condition in the country now is that the actions Modi ji is taking for the betterment of the country has not been clear and have not been explained clearly to the public too. And this has been creating some kind of hate on Modi ji, and his popularity is going down. And Congress does not have teeth now to bite on the opportunity, if any is created. So this is very much on cards. I would not be shocked that in the next elections, just before the elections, or when the elections are near to gain sympathy, do not be surprised if you see this happen. I am just assuming this as a possibility. I do not know why I got this thought. But when I go back and see the things, how they happened every time Congress was on the verge of a whitewash, there were similar incidents that have happened. And all these have huge question marks to follow. So I feel this is very much in store. I would not want to repeat it over and over again, but these scams have made me seriously think, are we safe in this kind of an atmosphere where this seems to happen every day? And the people are involved in this are celebrities in the society, and we are not able to do much about it. Forget about much. If we see the real case scenario, here we are not able to do anything about it, literally nothing about it. The connections Bollywood stars have with politicians. Ketan Parekh scam showed us how he traded Amitabh Bachchan's shares as a package in his Ketan. And Amitabh Bachchan family is very close to the Gandhi family. In fact, Rajiv Gandhi and Amitabh Bachchan were the best of friends. Go back and read the books of history. You will have your answers yourself. Family disputes. The disputes in the family started from a very long time, and history has been proof that some great personality or villain has gone down because of dispute in the family. Take it from the time of Ramayana till date. Dispute in the family itself led to the downfall of that family. Now, in this context, when we speak about the chapter on hand, then this family has been having disputes since the time of Sanjay Gandhi. And it does not seem to end on Rajiv Gandhi. There should be a continuation to it, or is it ended in full stop? The next election will tell. If my wildest of the fears does not come true, then we can conclude there could have been a full stop. This. But if not, then there is every possibility to see history repeat once again. Narada string operation. Another shocker which came out only to die down and go nowhere. This is one such of its kind, where again so many strong evidences showed how wrong happens in the society. But the outcome, what was it? Zero, absolutely zero. And the case is going nowhere despite for a fact that almost all the agencies in our country have tried their hands on this. This operation has been widely reported in the media, and I do not think nothing much needs to be added here. But the point that needs to be added here is that this is another example where it shows how these political parties are connected to one another and how they collectively take their decisions. This is a classic example for the same, where there was a strong evidence, though called allegation, where this operation showed that there were politicians favoring companies for huge sums of money. And this is the operation that actually exposed the connections between the politicians and the people who were responsible for Shraddha chit fund scam. This sting operation showed that once again it was from the support of the political parties. Most of the
Sarada,
scams,
Sarada chit
Sharda.
fund? Yeah,
Actually, he might
yeah,
have misspelled it. I
yeah.
mean, in haste. Okay. Okay. So responsible for Sharda chit fund scam, this sting operation showed that once people, again, it was from the support of the political parties, most of the scams in the company function. However, the sad part of this sting operation was that when the news actually came out, it focused only on West Bengal, where the actual plan was to start from Madhya Pradesh, go towards Himachal Pradesh, and finally come back to West Bengal, and then do the expose. But then what went wrong? Everyone is tight zipped about it. And there is not a single word spoken about it. Huge amounts of money was exchanged, and this continued for some time. In fact, a very long time. It was when the Sharda scam unearthed that the focus became even more deeper to focus on West Bengal. And if the reports in the media are to be believed, the mastermind behind all this, Samuel, is believed to have said that he was unclear on what he wanted to do because he did not want to be branded as someone who is cornered to have been blaming the BJP or any single political party, but do good to the country on a whole. And the only reason this man deserves it is because this is the same man who got to light the mismanagement of the deals the defense ministry had made in 2001, which, when made it out in the news, led to resignation of George Fernandez and also the arrest and conviction of BJP President Bangaru Lakshman. In order to understand the total connection here, the most important aspect that needs to be understood here is how the entire thing unfolded and what is the credibility of Samuel. Matthew Samuel. The West End sting operation was done at a time when not many people had any idea about what was going on. And when this news came out through this sting operation, a lot of eyebrows were raised. But then, when the actual things came out, every word that Samuel spoke was totally true. Yes, one team of mine is trying to get in touch with Samuel. Let's see how it will work out. Because this Sharda scam was cornered and closed with the TMC. But when the larger angle of it is seen, there is one possibility that there are other political parties which were involved too. And in order to understand the importance of this sting operation, and also why did this not pick up the mileage it should have, we need to first understand what the Sharda chit fund scam is all about. Because here lies the key as to why, despite seeing all that is happening in Bengal, why is anyone not been able to shake them out of there? All the other things like the mob violence and other issue that Bengal has been facing for a long, long time now will all look very small when this connection and angle will come out. People for themselves will know what are the main reasons for the mob violence and other things to be thrown on us when the actual story is something else. Sharda chit fund scam. He continues to write Shraddha chit fund scam here. So let me make it clear. This is one incident which showed three different things: the Naxal angle, the connection where there was support from politicians, and above all, the way rural poor can be exploited, and how the rural people fall prey because these people in rural India do not have much of an idea about the current happenings in the society. What is a chit fund? First, in order to continue, let me go ahead and explain what chit fund actually is. Chit fund is actually a type of rotating savings and credit system wherein a group of individuals invest small amounts of money within this group, and there will be bidding system when the investments mature. And this chit fund also serves as a source of short period hand loans for the investors too. After the postal system, RD, this is the next the rural population goes for and is very, very popular in rural India. The Naxal angle. Sudipto Sen, who was the chairman and managing director, the Shraddha Group in his younger days, was believed to be a part of the Naxal movement in West Bengal and was born Shankaraditya Sen, and with a successful plastic surgery in the 1900s came back as Sudipto Sen, giving himself that clean image, and he started his operations. The foundation stone for the Shraddha Chit Fund was planned in 2000 when Saints started getting involved in land development projects in South Kolkata and also showing interest in expanding himself and his business around the border states too. With few months into this, Saints started a land bank which attracted early birds into his chit fund schemes. Devjani Mukherjee, the executive director and the authorized signatory of the group, was known to have close connections with politicians from Bengal, Assam, Himachal, and Madhya Pradesh. And if some reports are to be believed, some politicians in Odisha too were in touch with Mukherjee. To stress on the fact of this, the point people raise here who have known her in close angles say that she was an air hostess before she joined the Shraddha Group, and when she joined the Shraddha Group in 2010 and instantly was promoted to the rank of an executive director because the leap the incoming investments saw once Ms. Mukherjee joined saw huge growths, and it's believed that Sain too needed a face which he could use to trap in influential people. And the investors also say that Mukherjee was an enchantress in her words and the way she spoke to the people. If someone wanted to invest in four figures, one word with her would tempt them to invest their entire pockets out. And when the initial hints of cheat and deceit started creeping in, the people who went ahead to file cases were silenced by powerful politicians in the state. The funding, which started in the rural parts, slowly by now was reaching the city, and experts believe this was the mistake Shraddha Group made. But yes, as the saying goes, once the vessel is full, the water has to leak out. Financial operations. The name Shraddha came from Sarada Devi, the wife of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. It's believed that when the investors were told this as the reason that the name Sharada was selected, many emotional investors went for it because it gave the company a touch of respectability. Shraddha, like other Ponzi scams, had promised astronomical returns, and funds were sold on commission by agents recruited from local rural community. The modus and the game plan was each agent was given a pinpoint target to attract people from their community by creating an atmosphere that while the agent is working with the group, his life has been on the uphill. This made a lot of rural population to fall trap because what happened here was that the caste angle came in the picture, and the targets were these organizations that were formed for caste development commission was also given to the leaders of these organizations, who in turn made sure that the investments kept pouring in. The agents were given commission ranging from 25 to 40% and also expensive gifts, and these gifts that the agents received also acted as the catalyst wherein a lot of crowd was attracted towards the company. Along with this, Sharda company also joined hands with a nexus of smaller companies to launder money and make sure that the balance sheets were maintained to perfection. Companies from the remote areas of Assam, Nagaland, Himachal, and Orissa were incorporated to launder money and make sure that the excess funds that came in, which could have exposed this much earlier, was sent to the accounts of these companies and ensure that there were no eyes getting alarmed towards the group. The experts also believe that most of these transactions happened in the active Naxal Maoist belt, and the Naxals too were funded by this company. And the company also used to fund a lot of political setups in their schemes for the public too. This is how Sen was able to maintain the balance between the Naxals, the police, and the politicians so that he could sit right on the top and dominate on everything. Many believe that he was a dual personality, one where he was soft spoken, sweet, and a man of the mass in front of the camera, and a skilled technician with a bossy attitude otherwise. This has been widely reported by the investors that when they were in sight, the behavior of the man was totally different. And when they were not in sight, the behavior was totally different. The man who is the mastermind behind all this source of information is this star, who also went ahead to say that when he was trying to get in touch with the investors who have lost hues in this, were quoted to say that all governments are one. And the politicians and police also used to blackmail us to burn our houses down too if we made too much noise around it. This was to be the big investors that used to happen. This was to the big investors that used to happen. Look at how well the web is, where the people who are supposed to shield us try and put us down, and the poor rural people who actually are innocent without much knowledge around what is happening fall prey to it. Because a closer study to this revealed that most of the low level investments came from daily wage laborers and poor farm workers, who were a main source of investment to the Sarada group in the formative years. And it's these people who did not even get a good return. But the game that did the trick here was that the investments were getting a little higher rate of return when compared to the postal RDs, and hence people were not much worried about. This formed the major part of the game, wherein the people from rural India were made targets, and they never really bothered because they were unknown of what exactly was cooking, till the time it was too late, and people lost huge sums of money. This was kept in close wraps till everything began to fall apart. It is believed that personal differences came in between the directors, which created difference of opinions, and this led to the secrets not remaining secrets anymore. There is one instance where Sen lost his cool on Mukherjee in a board meeting, and it's believed that he abruptly walked out on the board meeting that raised a lot of alarms within the board, creating a situation like panic. And one of the agents went to that extent where, out of anxiety and confusion, he blurted out to his community that the company is on a verge of collapse, which again created more differences in the board, where the blame game started. However, this is the inner news, but the news is very true because the pattern of collapse clearly hinted towards this. The entire thing that had happened during the entry of Mukherjee and how the SEBI got a upper hand and suddenly struck Hughes on the group is clearly visible that during 2009, the SEBI first knocked on the doors of the group, which the group made small amends. Now these amends came in 2010 and took full shape around 2011 to 2012, and the person responsible for the turnaround is believed to be Mukherjee. And also, one of the main reasons for appointing Mukherjee as the executive director is because of the fact that she was a woman with an enchanting vocabulary. And she was given a free hand because when other directors who were a part of the group officially or unofficially began to feel avoided and the game of ego hurts came into the picture, people started bad mouthing about her to Sen. And when Sen went around to find out what was happening, the woman was told that the man is spying on her. This is what one of the people who was closely connected to the group told this star. All was fine till this woman was made the signature authority. And once she got these rights, she started to put a full stop on some funds which were easily available. And that created the initial split. Kept growing as time passed by this, became one of the main reasons of the entire Sharda group to fall apart. And the chaos happened. But what is the sorry state of affairs here again is that this case is going on and on. Just one word I would like to conclude here for now is that this is huge shame on us and our society. The reason why I am telling this is because Sen, once he was arrested, gave all the names of the politicians who were involved and also went ahead and gave proofs about them. What happened after that was nothing. Even there is another report with the nod from the man himself that one such letter was written to him as well. The man is none other than Amit Shah, to whom a letter was written asking for arrests. Mukul Roy and Suvendu Adhikari for money laundering cases. God alone knows what is happening because the actions that have followed seems like nothing is going anywhere. I have started to make inroads and have been told that when the right time comes, right action will be taken. But when will the right time come? Will it be a touch late? Is the only question which has to now be answered. And the answer has to come soon, else it will be too late. Something like if you don't shake hands with time, you have to cry with our hands on our head. We'll wait for some time to see where it goes, then we'll start because you cannot go ahead of time. You cannot run behind time. You have to walk according to time. Because the best way I can explain the situation today in our society is that we have got independence, but only the rich have the poor and middle class are yet to be independent. The poor has to be independent from poverty, and the middle class needs to get independence from the burden of taxes and other similar things that have been thrown on them. Sorry to say this, but the reality is as strange as this. And we all need to understand one thing, that unless we fight for our right, we cannot go anywhere. And this is what is keeping us back and pulling us down. It's because we are silent when things are wrong that the wrong is getting the much needed mileage to go on. It's up to us again. What do we want to do? And we have two simple options. One, carry on with the flow of things. Two, stand against the tide for our right. The first option is very easy and doesn't change anything. The second option might not seem practical today, but on the longer run will fetch results, because as per what the wise said, success, change and revolutions happen outside our comfort zones. I leave it on to you people to decide what exactly do you want to do. Continue with the flow and stay where we are and make that effort and change things for good. I have chosen my path and also have my action plan for now. What is my path ahead? I will for once wait and look back on you. If you feel you want to join hands with me, you are more than welcome. But if you don't, then I would still respect your opinion and move on. But the only simple request to you, my society, is that if you do not want to do anything good to the society, then there is nothing wrong in it. But at least put that honest effort where you do not do anything wrong in the society. Meenaji,
Yeah,
for today I will stop it
absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I was clear and there's
Yes,
no
yes, very
confusion
clear,
there.
very clear. And a lot of things that, all of us are aware of all these scams. You know, he's talking about all that. And we
I
know that,
mean, yes,
yeah,
it's sort of refresher with more details,
yes, yes,
because public has a short memory.
yes,
I
yes,
mean, no one gets punished, nothing happens, money keeps vanishing in scams, and
yes,
investigations keep happening, the cases keep
yeah,
dragging.
yeah. See, what happens
So,
is, see, these are used as political weapons. Whenever they want to come to power, they will use these things. The moment they come to power, they forget about it.
and if someone is totally clean and I mean doesn't compromise on anything as far as welfare of the nation is concerned, then they meet the fate of Lal Bahadur Shastri ji.
Yes, yes. It's very sad.
Okay.
So thank
Okay,
you. Thank
Minaji.
you so much, Deepti. And also, I'd also like to tell the viewers that after the talk we had with Rabia ji yesterday, Deepti and myself are also working on some details which we will share with you as soon as it's possible for us to disclose it to you. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
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 Thank you, Deepti, and good night from our viewers and myself.
Thank you. Thank you, Minaji. Good night. Good night to
Good night.
everyone. Bye.